So I figured that I wanted to do this. I figured that I wanted to really split this up instead of trying to talk about it in one big chunk, since there's just so much there, that I was going to take each individual religion and kind of just maybe split it up into parts. So that's what I'm going to do. Um, Honestly, I guess I should have thought this one through a little more, because now I'm like, do I start with the Christianity or do I start with the atheism? But if you didn't know, I'll just say now I grew up Christian. So yeah, regular Christian, average, everyday, normal testimony. I grew up Christian, going to church every day, all of that. So yeah, up until 12 years old, to where I decided that I didn't want to do that anymore. So my family allowed me to not go to church anymore. And honestly, thinking back, that was a curse and a blessing, because I'm very hard-headed. So if they would have continued to force me to go there, I would have just resisted even more, and it would have made the process a lot longer than it needed to be. So there's that. But the reason why I wanted to split this into parts is because there is just so much to unpack. So much to unpack. When I originally thought about this and when I originally did the first video on this, it was like a whole thing, and where I was like, I can't really fit this into one video. But I guess that really shows more about me, and I guess it's me learning about me. As I do talk about this, I'm learning about myself as well, and really learning how absolutely crazy it all is. But I guess we should start with atheism, because I guess I would say I have the most memorable history with that. It's, still fresh in my mind, memories of it. But yeah, I started with atheism after I was 12, and I remember saying this in the previous video as well. It all started from like a little YouTube video. I think I was watching like around the time when I was young, Beverly Hills Chihuahua had like just came out. And I remember I would watch it with my Chihuahua and stuff like that. And I guess like in the middle of all of that, and in the middle of me watching just random YouTube videos, sorry if the camera shakes, but me watching random YouTube videos, I came across this one video that says, I will disprove God's existence in like 10 minutes. And I remember looking at that, like, I remember being hesitant to click on that because I knew that it was going to make me mad. Me being like this little Christian, 12-year-old Christian, 12 or 13-year-old Christian girl who grew up in the church, like, this is going to make me mad. But I watched it anyways because the title was just so clickbaity. It was just clickbaity. So I watched it, and I really I watched it, and honestly, well, let me tell you what first happened after I got done watching it. I remember being so mad that to this day I feel like the person who came, because I couldn't even give you a link or anything. This was like years upon years, over like five, probably like what? No, it was over 10 years ago. Now that I think about it, so this was over 10 years ago. Yeah, it was over 10 years ago, so I definitely couldn't give you the video now. So yeah, I'm like this little 12 or 13-year-old kid who's watching this, and the person who made the video didn't know this, but behind this comment that I was going to write, it was an angry little kid, very literally. But I had put in the video, how could you say this? God does exist. You're going to hell. Uh, um, what else did I say? I'll see you in hell. Like, well, I was so upset about it, and I was telling this man, like, yeah, I'll see you in hell. I'll be up in heaven, and I'll be waving at you, and you'll be burning. So, and he answered me back with this like philosophical answer, and I like in my head I'm like, this guy doesn't know. And even even being like a 12-year-old kid, I bet this guy does not know that he is like giving this philosophical answer to some 12-year-old 11, 12-year-old kid. 11, 12, 13-year-old kid. So, yeah. Um, there's that. And I feel like, in a sense, atheism, I guess, sort of like nihilism, is like a disease. It creeps up and it really, uh, I guess, enamors your mind, and you really think about it. And the concepts that were really planted really caused me to doubt my religion. When I would go to church and everything, it caused me to doubt it. And next thing you know, I was listening to The Amazing Atheist, Jacqueline Glenn. I didn't really like Jacqueline Glenn back then. I don't know why. But I mean, I can give you a few reasons now, but back then, yeah, I don't know why. Uh, I think I think it was because maybe I think it was something about her videos. She didn't put out a lot or whatever. Because I remember, like, no, I think I was like, she confused me. She did all kinds of content, and I was just like, you talk about Charles Darwin or whatever. But yeah. So I would grow up watching all of that. It got to the point where I would be playing Minecraft on my phone with my boyfriend at the time. We would play Minecraft. I'd be on our little phones and playing Minecraft together. And little does he know that while I'm also talking to him and playing Minecraft, I'm listening to The Amazing Atheist and all that other stuff. So, I mean, yeah, I was to say that I was in there, like really into it. I was, and I remember I would be on the bus before I could drive because I got my license as soon as I could. I didn't want to ride the bus anymore. I was gracious enough for my parents to buy me a car when I turned 16. So, yeah, the second I could drive, I was out of there. I was out of there. I would take the bus on occasion, but never all the time. So, yeah. But I remember being on the bus before I could drive. I would be listening to like atheist podcasts and just like really listening and being immersed. I guess that was the word I was trying to find. Immersed into it. So here I am being immersed into it and just like, yeah. And I also remember, well, while I was in that, I would have these spouts of, what if I'm wrong? Because I did listen to some apologetics. Just like the apologetics never really went through to me. I never really understood it. It was probably because by the time I had stopped going to church, I had literally just got out of like Sunday school. So I was equipped with the basics, nothing deeper. So I couldn't really defend my faith too much. I was also an immature Christian then. But I remember they would drop these nuggets that were like, well, how do you really know? Like, how do you know? How do you know it's all made up? What if it's not? What if it's not and you die and you go to hell? You can't say, oh God, I didn't know. And I know, like, for the majority of the people who were speaking on this, they were like, oh, that's a weak argument. But for me, that was like, those chances are pretty high. Those are pretty big odds. What if? So, yeah. Um, yeah, what if? But despite that, I kept going on and I kept doubting atheism. I kept doubting it more and more and more. I was truly, truly worried about the prospect of me being wrong. And at this point, I was trying to cling on to what little faith that I had left after listening to The Amazing Atheist and all of them for years, my childhood. But no, it didn't really come back in that way. It did, sort of plant in me, but it didn't come back in that way. Um, so yeah, I remember going. all throughout high school, all throughout middle school, all throughout high school, being an atheist. So as soon as I got out of church, I was an atheist. I dabbled a little bit in like the demonic realm, where like I thought that I was like a Satanist. I forgot about this. I thought that I was like a Satanist for like 3 seconds, but no, I really wasn't. I watched this one dude. I think it was Mr. Reptilian, the guy who had like this long beef with Onision. That guy. I remember him being so kind, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a Satanist, and here are the things that Satanists believe. Oh, we believe treating others with kindness." So that's what I did. I was like, "That's good. I am going to be a Satanist too." But it was never something that was like. That was never something I was like, oh, I'm gonna sacrifice some goats. No, it was never anything like that. But I was like that for like 3 seconds until atheism was like, oh yeah, we don't believe in Satan either. I was like, oh, I guess I don't either. Never mind. So, I went through all of that, and I guess I should get to the part where I really turned from my ways. So I guess let's fast forward, way forward. And I know I'm going to forget some stuff, and if I do, I'll plant them back in. But I think what really got me, my turning point, was me being a conservative. I was always Republican conservative, and I guess I should talk a little bit about that. But yeah, I'm conservative. So I remember like having huge conservative views. Like I was always conservative. And I remember taking like this test that told me like I was like a liberal or something. Like I was like a liberal, a socialist liberal. It was the political compass before it became what it is now. Like back then you could take, this was like old, like when they were like hyper liberal. So like I remember taking the test, and they were like, do you believe in gay marriage? And I was like, no. Do you believe in abortion? And I was like, definitely not. Do you believe, and keep in mind I was pretty young, but I remember taking that, and uh, despite having all of those answers, they were like, congratulations, you're a liberal. You're a socialist liberal. Or whatever. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm a liberal. Because I wasn't into politics. I didn't know anything about politics at the time. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm a socialist liberal. So I remember dating this one guy. And this was around the time, oh my gosh. This was around, was it around, how, like, never mind. But I remember dating this one guy who was a crazy liberal, and he was talking about like things like abortion and stuff. And he's like, abortion is awesome. And I remember thinking, because I told him that I was a liberal too, because that's what the website had told me. I didn't know that they were lying, but I was like, yeah, I'm a liberal too. He's like, abortion is awesome. And I remember being like, no, it's not. It's like the murder of innocent babies. That's not. And we got into a full-blown argument over abortion. And so I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm a liberal. And I told him to. I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm a liberal. I think I'm actually conservative. I think he broke up with me on the spot, but honestly, I was a little bit angry. But I wasn't too pressed. I cried about it for like a day. But yeah, I didn't literally cry. But yeah, so. And then I remember, like, I know what really brought me into my faith was going on Twitter. Because I like to look at Ben Shapiro and stuff like that. I went on Twitter, And I looked up Ben Shapiro. Uh, and on that, I was also looking at, I was being presented with feminist stuff. So, yeah, I remember seeing tons of stories that utter disgusted me. So, I remember looking at it, and seeing one that was like a feminist smears blood all over her face in the name of feminism. And that got me thinking. I was like, why would anybody do that? No, seriously, why would anybody do that? And then that's when it hit me. Demons. Demons. Demons are 100% real. This woman, and that was the only logical conclusion that I could come up with, because nobody does that. Like, no sane, rational person does that. So I'm like, this woman is possessed by demons. That's literally the only explanation that I could have. And that's what kickstarted it. So I said to myself, if demons are real, then angels and God has to be real, because I'm looking at proof. I'm looking at somebody possessed by demons with my own two eyes. So yeah, that kickstarted everything. And I really read up on it. I read up on demons. I read up on possessions. I didn't go too in depth, but it was awesome to know that, with demons, there's also Christ. Uh, you don't have to be afraid of demons because of Jesus. And so that's what really got me into, I guess you could say, Christianity, messianic Judaism. And there's a thing on that, but messianic Judaism. That's what got me into it again. Also because my mom, I would listen to my mom. Uh, she had a head covering, a talit, I believe it's called. Um, and I should know this, but she had a talit that had Jesus on it and everything. You know what they would put over their heads to wear in the synagogue for prayer. My mom had one of that, and she would always watch Discovering the Jewish Jesus on the television. So she would watch that, and she bought that, I think, from them. And I had it, and I'm actually really depressed because I don't know where it went. But that was before my mom left this earth. That was the last thing that I really had of hers, physically. But she had it, and she would watch that, and it really left an imprint on me. And I think what really sowed the seeds for that too as well. I remember being in high school, and there was this Jewish guy, and he told me, "Oh, I'm reading the Torah," and I'm like, "What's the Torah?" And he was like, "It's just the Old Testament," and I was like, "Oh, Jews just read the that's their holy book?" I remember being so perplexed. I was like, "So you guys are like Christians, right?" He was like, "No." No, we just read the Old Testament. I was like, "Oh, why aren't you Christian if you're reading the Old Testament? It's the Bible, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, but not exactly." Not exactly. But yes, I guess that was really the first thing that got me into all of it. So yeah, I guess I kind of understood why my mom was watching that, but I would be like, why is my mom watching Discovering the Jewish Jesus? But she had it, and I remember getting some of the messianicness from my mother. So Yeah. But I guess 20-minute mark. That's my history with atheism, I guess. So yeah.